I'm Joe Reed, and this is Behind the Mic with AudioFile magazine. Michele Cobb is with me. She's the publisher of AudioFile, and her theme this week is surprise. Surprise me, Michele.
Yes, well, surprising choices. So
Oh,
maybe
sorry.
maybe some of these are surprising to you. Today we have the sequel, the book series Volume 2 by Hanff Korelitz, read by Julia Whelan.
Interesting. Okay. So it's the book series now, because the plot is, I would imagine, book 1. If the
Yes,
sequel is book 2, do you think a book 3 is in the offing?
I think there certainly could be a book 3.
Okay. Well, tell us about this.
Well, I have to say, I felt a little behind coming into this because I had not listened to the plot. And
Mhm.
you've got that same character, and you're set in the world of publishing. So I always enjoy listening to books about publishing, even though I find that fictionalized versions of the industry often make me want to roll my eyes. But this author does a good job and hits the highlights without being over the top. So less eye rolling here.
Yeah.
So we first meet Anna, who is a writer's widow, and she promoted his book after a suicide. And then she's at a writer's retreat with the goal of creating a book about her grief. And the book she writes is well received. She is suddenly this literary star appearing at key publishing events. But that's not the full story.
Aha, I wouldn't think it was because it wasn't in the plot.
Well, early on, I did feel like I needed a bit more information to make sure I understood the background on Anna. So I had suspicions, and I did go read an in depth synopsis of the first book because I was a little bit lost without having that. And you may want to listen to that title before you dive into the sequel.
Yeah, I literally planted half a garden listening to the plot.
Well, and the plot is narrated by Kirby Haymore,
Yeah.
who was Julia's co-narrator on Gone Girl. So I felt like it was a, repetitive but mindful casting choice. And that's, me saying something without saying anything.
In terms of giving plots away, but not.
Exactly, yes.
Anyway, tell me a little bit more about the sequel. What more can you say?
Well, I think Julia does her usual yeoman's job of kind of narrating what is truly a twisty tale. The character does a lot of surprising things. There's our theme. And she actually ends up creating a book of stories by her husband's students from the college in Vermont, where he taught, which she goes back to.
Which figures prominently in the plot. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, why don't we listen to a little bit? Do you need to set this up?
Here's just a little bit of background.
Okay, this is the sequel by Hanff Korelitz, read by Julia Whelan.
Not many first-time novelists get a profile in the New York Times. Then again, few first-time novelists come with the backstory of an Anna Williams Bonner, recent bride of a wildly successful novelist who took his own life even as his fame seemed on the ascent. There were, too, the lingering rumors of some sort of harassment, much speculated upon but never fully detailed, that had driven the writer, Jacob Finch Bonner, to his terrible act. How easy it was to say anything about anyone, in public but anonymously, and end someone's career, in this case someone's life, without ever actually facing your victim, let alone proving your accusation. What a sad indictment of our culture that was. Anna wasn't surprised that the New York Times wanted to write about her, though she let Wendy and Matilda know how excited she was, which was exactly as excited as they were.
I think Julia is just such a smart narrator and a really subtle one, too, who still manages to get to the heart of any book that she's reading, even within that subtlety.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. You always say it
Yeah.
so well, Joe.
Oh, hardly that time, but that's what, but she is subtle and she is smart, and I always enjoy listening to her because I know she'll bring home whatever the author is trying to convey.
Yeah, and I think those smarts with these strategic characters are especially important.
Yeah, I agree. That is the sequel, the book series, Volume 2, by Hanff Korelitz, read by Julia Whelan. Thank you so much, Michele, and I shall speak with you tomorrow.
Sounds great.
Harper Select is the sponsor of today's episode of Behind the Mic, publisher of An American Story. Written and narrated by actor and activist Wilmer Valderrama. Available everywhere you get your audiobooks. Stop by AudioFileMagazine.com, where you can find reviews for literally hundreds of audiobooks, so you can make an informed listening choice. I'm Jo Reed. I'll talk to you tomorrow.